Moin and welcome to the LYNXES. It's the end of 2020 and let me tell you, I'm relieved. I guess it was quite a year for all of us and I'm really looking forward to 2021 getting better. Nevertheless, I really want to end this year as good as I can. You may have seen my Christmas prompt list on Instagram, where I posted a little photo story every day of December till Christmas. It was a lot of work, but really funny, and I love to show the personality of my dolls a little more. But I of course also planned something special for YouTube here. All the specials this year were monsters, or at least characters with some sort of darker twist. Looking back, quite fitting for this year. Either way, this year's Christmas doll will also fit in the series, and Arteza will help me with that. I thought it's a really nice idea to make the last video with products from my favorite art supply company that supported this channel so much through the year. Thank you, Arteza, I'm so happy. But let's finally start with the doll, right? For this project I decided to use a Nobitsu body and this head that I once got as a present. Moreover, I will incorporate the spare arm I still have left from my Strabella repaint back in February. But to use it, I first needed to dye it with black. The body should get some modifications, so the first thing to do was to disassemble it. Inserting wire in the chest piece was simple. I just punched holes in the plastic where I wanted to put the construction and had enough space to easily attach the wire. I also secured everything with hot glue from the inside. This way the epoxy that followed later had a good base to hold on to. For her lower back it was a little more difficult, since I couldn't remove it from the inner mechanism. So I just inserted it through the holes for her legs and punched it through the plastic. And with that, the wire construct was done and the doll could still be assembled. Now the dyed arm came back to the table. It took the color perfectly well and could be attached to the middle wire on the upper back with some epoxy. When that was dry, I sanded down the biggest imperfections just to add another layer of clay on top. More drying, more sanding, and to prevent it from cracking a little more, I added a layer of superglue on top. After that, I sprayed the whole construction with a layer of Mr. Super Clear sealant that also helped hiding the glossiness from the superglue, and painted the clay with black acrylic paint. For a smoother transition, I then added a little pastel dust and some veins with watercolor pencils. I mainly used lilacs and some red for her skin to look unhealthy and infected where the third arm grew. Drawing veins is kinda my favorite thing to do. I was able to draw them so often this year for all the special monstrous repaints and always had the most fun with it. I guess I will miss this in 2021. But back to the doll. We now paid much attention to the body and completely neglected the head. Time to change that by cutting out some eye holes. Of course I removed the head cap first to have better access. This time I wanted to try some half-closed dreamy eyes instead of wide open ones like usual. I wanted her to have some sort of melancholy in her design, going along with the black third arm on her back. Even though I sketched the shape on the plastic beforehand, I messed up a little bit, but felt confident to work around that with the face-up later. It was really tricky to cut such small slits, to be honest. When I was satisfied enough, I sprayed the whole head with a plastic primer and took my Arteza acrylic paints to mix a nice skin tone. The body had a more yellowish color than the head, so I decided to spray paint the head with my airbrush for a nice color match. I do admit it's barely visible now, since the tone is not that different, but the result looked great. In comparison to the head cap, you can see the difference after all. Now on to the hair. I bought this doll hair because it was called Angel Locks, and I thought that was perfect for this custom. I then realized that these aren't a lot of single locks, but one very long strand of fiber. Gluing this into wefts was not really working, so I had to think of another method. I never actually tried the common rerooting method everybody uses for nylon hair, so I decided it was worth a try now. Since I did not have a rerouting tool, I just cut the needle eye of an old needle at an angle and tried my best. The head had no pre-punched holes, so it was a little harder to pinch through the plastic. Moreover, I did not have any tool to hold the needle and it was slippery and complicated. But I did not want to give up. After some failed attempts with a thimble and some tweezers, I went to my kitchen to look for a cork. Luckily, I had one bottle of wine that I opened to use the cork as a handle for the needle. After that, it was so much easier to reroute. And even way faster than my yarn reroute method, where I make a knot in one end and pull it through the plastic. To solve the problem with the one giant strand problem situation, I just punched a bit of hair inside the head and then just cut it. This way the locks don't have equal length, but I didn't think it would be visible in the end. And I was right, but oof, so much fluff! I secured all the ends in the head with some strong glue to save my work. To be honest, I did not expect her hair to end up this much, especially since the locks looked so small in the package, but they were way more dense in there. I probably could have easily tamed it with boiling water, but that would also cause the locks to disappear and I did not want that. I decided to think a little about what I want to do with the hair and tackle her face up in the meantime. So I wrapped her in kitchen foil and sprayed the head with Mr. Super Clear sealant. First, I went over the face with some pastel blushing. She has quite a round face with soft and childish features, so I wanted to give her some contour. It's really nice that I feel a lot more confident with my face up since starting with BJDs. Compared to them, fashion dolls are a lot smaller, of course, and mostly have way more cartoonish features, but I still think my work has improved. After all, I feel more confident to use different colors for shadows and such. Also started adding some blues and so. I still have quite a lot to learn, especially when it comes to eyebrows and lashes, but I'm on my way for sure. I do want to invest in some more brushes. High quality makeup brushes for blushing, some nail art brushes for details and delicate lines. I guess that could be really helpful. But back to the face up. As the last thing, I added some golden eyeshadow and golden tears. Her whole design should be pretty light and angelic with whites and golds like a classic Christmas angel. It should have been high contrast to the black arm on her back with a little bit of tragedy, so the tears were a good addition to that in my opinion. To secure my work, I sprayed her again with a few layers of Mr. Super Clear sealant and added some lashes. To do that, I took a little bit of glue with a toothpick and spread it in the eye hole. Normally, I wait for it to dry and then cut the lashes a little bit, but this time I really liked the overly long ones, so I kept it that way. For her eyes, I kept it really simple this time, since they would not be as dominant in the face either way. To adapt the gold color scheme, I just painted the iris with gold acrylic paint from Arteza and added a little clear UV resin on top. Inserting them was quite a struggle and the iris could have definitely been a little bigger, but that's okay. It was my first attempt on making half-closed eyes, so I'm pretty happy with the result. But there was still something left to do. You probably remember the wire construction we inserted in her body and only used one of them so far. Well, the other ones were made for wings. You probably already guessed that, since I was talking of angel locks and an angelic look and so. I bought these feathers and sewed some bases out of fabric and wire for the feathers to attach to. Wings are something I'm pretty bad at. I can't draw them properly and I wasn't sure how to make them now. Doll Motion has made quite a few wings by now and I was kinda orientating on her method, but I already failed on how to cut the feathers in smaller ones. At some point I discovered what worked for me and improved it wing by wing. All 4 of them took me 3 days to complete and they do look a little messy, but not too bad I think. At least I can say that I finally tackled my biggest struggle in art. Here you can see them all finished with the arm that I gave a good treatment with high gloss varnish. Last thing to add was now of course her head, so I placed it on the body and glued her head cap back on. Even though I now had quite some time to think of her hair, I was still kinda unsure. To be honest, I loved all the poofy locks, but it was so massive that the hair kinda overtook the whole doll. I decided to put it up in a ponytail then, but while I was at it, her neck broke. It was damaged before, but I thought I fixed it. Obviously not. I was so sad. I glued it back together as best as I could, but it's incredibly weak, so she's very fragile now. But at least I'm happy with her hair now. And now the last part where my new Arteza product comes to usage. The outfit! Most of you probably know that this is my least favorite part, but since Arteza started working with me and sent me all sorts of great materials, I really have way more fun with this topic. This time they sent me a huge collection of felt fabric, and I'm especially interested in the special effect ones. I really feel inspired for some new customs and outfits and accessories and such. They all are very thin, which is really good when working on a small scale for dolls. For this project, I will only use this beautiful gold one with white on the back. It was perfect for my angel doll. For her top, I cut a small piece and made a little hole in the middle. I wanted to insert a loop, but actually never did this before, so don't judge me. After quite some struggles, I finally found a solution, I guess. At least the loop is now inserted, and that's all I wanted. Sadly, I just had silver ones, but I guess it's not too bad, since the bright gold of the felt overtook it anyway. I then inserted a little charm in the loop. For the rest of the top, I made a frame out of golden wire and sewed some white fabric around it. For that I also used golden thread to keep everything festive and in the right color scheme. As a final touch, I glued the golden felt around it. As a skirt, I sewed again some white fabric around another golden wire and added some decorative chains to it. Looking back, the outfit reminds me a little bit of some sort of Greek goddess or something, but I think it fits pretty well. To add even more sparkle, I used some glue and golden glitter on the fabric. The glitter is now everywhere in my room, but since it's Christmas, it's okay, I guess. And here we have our little Christmas angel with a demon arm. I think I will call her Gracia, and of course she has a little story. Gracia always was one of the most beautiful angels of all. Being blessed with 2 pairs of wings instead of just one, she was treated privileged right from the start. Wearing the best clothes and the finest jewelry, she was getting used to get all that she wanted just by claiming it. It's probably no wonder that she turned greedy and mean over time, so the other angels turned their backs on her. But she could not accept that. In all her anger, she summoned a demon, making a deal to be able to force the other angels to bow down if they are not willing to follow her voluntarily. But being the demon it was, it fooled Gracia, taking her eyesight so she could no longer see all her precious possessions, and attached itself to her body as a third arm growing out of her back. Gracia was shattered. She was blind, her beauty was ruined, and she was all alone with that creature that ashamed her. But slowly, over weeks of isolation, she got to know the demon and realized that it always was a part of her. Her greedy desires had turned into a form and took over her body. It was her all along who brought it to life. But instead of being desperate about it, Gracia felt thankful. Finally seeing what path she had taken and what she turned into had opened her eyes. After a long time, she finally found the courage to face the other angels again and take responsibility for her actions. And to her surprise, she got accepted. They forgave her after seeing that she had truly changed. Even the demon could have been removed, but Gracia decided against it. She kept it as it was a part of her that she could not deny, but now handle with care and responsibility. And that was her little story. I hope you liked it as well as the whole Monster Special series this year. I collected them all in a playlist if you want to watch them all again. I already have some great plans for next year and already know what topic the specials for 2021 will have, so don't miss my next video in January. Until then, I will take a little break and end this year with some free days and lots of cookies. Thank you all so much for going with me through 2020, for all your support and your lovely words. A huge thank you to all of my patrons, who will get another little video the next days, and a huge thank you to Arteza, who supported this channel so much. I have some affiliate links in the comments if you're interested in the products and want to support me at no extra costs for you. Please leave a like or a comment and hit the bell icon to never miss a new video here. I love you all so much, my little LYNXES, and I'm so thankful for this awesome community. I wish you all the best holidays and a happy new year. See you soon. Tschüss!